I got sick of some of my favorite light novels not having audiobooks, so I've decided to make this. Hopefully this goes well and hopefully I do a good job, but just to make this known, I am finishing audiobooks that are already made. I am not starting them from the beginning. I will put the previous entries from whatever channel that I guess, borrowed them from in the playlist of whatever this goes. This is just going to be a hobby. I don't know how often I'm going to actually upload these. I don't know if I'm going to continue, but hopefully I get some support on this. I mean, in the end, this is mainly for me, and for others to enjoy as well. With that statement out of the way, let me begin. No Game, No Life, Volume 4, Chapter 2. The beach, one of the two destinations for rest and recreation, competing only with the mountains, a place where, come summer, throngs of people will gather instinctively, like insects to light. In reality, it's a setting where the sand stuck to your feet stubbornly refuses to leave your body. Your sunburned skin torments your flesh for days to come, and the salt breeze corrodes your hair every second. When you think about it, it's a landscape whose appeal was absolutely mystifying. A place meant strictly for people with lives. However, even a place as low as this can take on new meaning in a different set of circumstances. When, under a Japanese parasol, Sora reclined on a bed woven of grass, with a glass in his hand. At his sides were several animal girls, apparently servants of the Shrine Maiden, who fanned him with giant leaves. Their short, little Japanese-style coats, apparently Eastern Union swimsuits, opened wide at the front, offering glimpses of their breasts and lower bodies as they slipped smoothly out from under what little coverage the cloth offered, in contrast to their furry ears and tails, more dazzling than the sun. Waving the glass in his hand, Sora thought to himself, this was heaven. King Sora, you seem quite content under this sun. Rather high and mighty, aren't you? Yup, thanks to Jabril's mysterious sunscreen formulated with optical spirits or something, but never mind that. Sora answered Ino's cool voice in a suspicious tone, without looking over. Old man, I keep telling you out of my vision, okay? But don't tell me you're wearing nothing but a loincloth again. Sir, what an odd thing to say. What shall a man wear to the sea but a loincloth? The brawny elder, wearing only, just as Sora predicted, a loincloth, gave him a quizzical, look, with a displeased sigh. Sora pointed to himself and mumbled, Look, Gramps, look at me. What do you see? Sir, you are of that persuasion. You trolling old fart? Shorts and a shirt. This is perfectly good swimwear. Sensing a voice tinged with disgust as the old man retreated a few steps, Sora sat up shouting, but Ino just shook his head. Dear, dear. I see a man ashamed to show his meager body. This is quite prudent, sir. It is good courtesy to hide that which should not be seen. I have no interest in being some macho douchebag like you, and don't say meager. After that FPS match with Izuna, I realized my physical fitness is actually important, and started working out a little, believe it or not. His venom spent, Sora clucked his tongue, once in irritation to lay back down. He kept silent about how he himself had been surprised that his limit for crunches and push-ups was 50. Anyway, screw you. Where's everyone else? Women take time to get ready, sir. Pardon me. Is this news to you? I'm trying to say I hate sitting here talking to a macho old fart. Have you heard of sarcasm? Have you? Squinting and yelling, Sora turned his gaze behind him. Yo, Shiro! Are you done yet? Just a little longer. Shiro's voice emerged from the trees at Sora's back. There was some rustling or something going on back there, but in any case, it seemed that she was having trouble changing by herself. What would be the problem with simply changing in the changing room with the other ladies? You said it. In fact, That's just what I said, until I got chased the hell out. By you. Sora and Shiro could not separate. Changing was no exception. Under this self-evident truth, at his usual pace as nature would have it, in the most natural way, Sora had attempted to follow Shiro into the girls' changing room, then got chased the hell out, and here we were. Let you prep on the bare flesh of the holy shrine maiden. Even if Tet forgives it, I never will. Dude, the shrine maiden was all, "'Tis no matter to me." Suddenly, a sense of humiliation overcame him for having bowed to the intimidation of a muscled old fart in a loincloth. Was it too late to rush past, you know? Sora painted the plot in his mind, yet... Here you bitches go, please. Mizuna, my dear, you're so darling, no matter what you wear. At the young girl's salutation and the sudden transformation of Ino's voice into that of a sweet old man, Sora turned. Izuna was the first to show up, fully changed, and Ino softly sighed, laying a hand on his chest. When I heard the swimsuits were chosen by Sora, I was worried at what sort of disgrace might be forced upon you. You ignore an old fart. For starters, everyone knows a little girl is supposed to wear a school swimsuit. Izuna toddled down in the sand, waving her big tail. Her swimsuit was from Sora and Shiro's world, an old school swimsuit. Naturally, until now, such a thing had not existed in this world. It should also be noted that synthetic fibers such as polyester were not available, even in the Eastern Union. However, school swimsuits originally, before the war, had been made of silk. Using the disturbingly detailed information recorded in the tablet, Steph had recreated the garb most admirably. Steph, the highest of props to you. But did you really manage to keep it quite modest? Once more I tell you, old fart, you are ignorant. What sort of romanticism is there to be had without taking culture into account? Yes, Izuna, on top of her school swimsuit, wore a jacket-like garment with dangling sleeves and an open front of those of the surrounding werebeasts. Animal ears. Little girl, school swimsuit, all fused with the culture of the Eastern Union. This was Sora's answer. Standing before Sora, Izuna spun around as if looking behind her. Is this okay, please? Magnifique. You are already so cute, it's not even fair. And now you're a freaking cultural heritage. Ino watched Sora flash a thumbs up and a fine young man smile. I can't say I follow, but you have my honest praise for not seeking lasciviousness in my granddaughter. Then, I'm done changing. Oh, Steph, wow, you did some fine work. Hold on, I'm sorry there's some peaking. I don't know what I can do about it. I might try to fix it in the next recording, but for now, you're gonna have to deal with it. Hopefully it's not too bad. Turning towards Steph's shy voice to commend her, Sora froze. The red-faced Steph had preserved the lacy, girly image of her normal clothes, as if she wore a bikini-style swimsuit decked out in frills and a pareo, squirming and shifting her eyes as if she didn't know what to do. As far as Sora knew, Elkia had no swimsuits like that. In Elkia, a swimsuit meant, you know, those full-body drawers that passed for swimsuits in the dark ages of 17th century Europe. That was why he had asked Steph to make some proper swimwear. From the look on her face, it could be surmised that Steph had conformed to the swimsuit design Sora and Shiro had ordered for her as well. Sora froze like a rock, but not for the bikini. Rather, it was the ample amounts that volumes that threatened to spill from its top that stunned him, sending figures bounding through his brain. It can't be. 89? 58? 89? A power level of 50,000? How did you... I mean, no, what are you talking about? Sora shivered at the unexpected boob force indicated by the meter in his brain. What could explain this? Had he all this time been overlooked it as a consequence of the undue diligence of Mr. Steam? How can Steph be so high level? I wouldn't say that. Steph squirmed as if not entirely displeased. Sora opened his mouth to utter another word or two, but was stopped short. Please excuse me, master. It took some time to weave the appearance you requested. You mustn't worry, dearie. Keeping a lad biting his nails while waiting is what a good woman does, don't you know? At the two voices, everyone turned, and in that instant, the needle on the meter store's brain was pinned at maximum. Sora and Ino, before they could think, followed their instincts, which told them that it was their duty to throw themselves on the ground, then and there. Where they turned were indeed two goddesses. Two goddesses, of whom one was Jabril, her long hair, which reflected light and changed color, fanned by the breeze and the seaside sunlight, grew all the more brilliant, a sculpted beauty, worthy of being called the ultimate, at which any sculptor's heart would break at first glance. Covering this masterpiece of a body was the swimsuit Sora had specified. For Jabril, who had showed plenty of skin regularly, he intentionally picked a one-piece woven with string across her midsection. From a largish shawl wrapped like a pareo around her hips, extended her faintly glistening wings. The halo turned above her head took all this divine splendor and made it still greater. Her beauty was such that it stole away any room for doubt she'd come from the sky, rendering the reality beyond question. Two goddesses, of whom one was the Shrine Maiden, her golden hair and ears and tail, and her fair skin lit by the sunlight, could only be summarized as an aureole. Lines somewhat more reserved, but if Jabril was the ultimate, the Shrine Maiden could only be the supreme. Her soft skin, usually wrapped in a kimono, was now wreathed in the most consistent theme of a swimsuit resembling a short Japanese-style jacket, but through her languid manner of dress suggestive of a club hostess, a butterfly of the night. Her shoulders peeped lithely, lustrous, her golden hair and two tails scintillating as they slowly waved with each step on the sand, and the bewitching smile that arose on her face, convinced one of the existence of the fox spirits that were said to live forever and ascend to the divine. No mere spirit, but a deity who stood above them all. Tears streamed down the faces of the two earthbound men. They did not know why, yet, without understanding anything, they prayed. I, Ino Hatsuse, have finally learned the reason I was born. Oh God, I don't know who or where you are, but friggin' inspired God who created Jabril and the Shrine Maiden for us in this world, make me your disciple. A new religion was rising up. Steph and Izuna, having witnessed one of its key tenets, felt obliged to interject. Excuse me, I recognize that it's hard comparison to stand up to, but can you really treat us differently? Did you get all that sand in your eyes, please? Izuna, looking back and forth between Steph and the two, still prostrate, looked puzzled. Oh, master, you honor me more than I deserve, but please raise your head. Don't stand on ceremony, lads. You may as well savor the blessing of my seaside attire. Jabril lowered her head to the ground at the sight of Sora's state as the Shrine Maiden crowed with laughter. At the woman's urging, Sora and Ino rose tentatively, faced again with the divine radiance of the two. Sora and Ino turned their gazes towards the sky together. Somehow it feels like I've already experienced more than enough. I must concur. My heart fills with the feeling that I have done my bit. Shall we go back now? For once our opinions concede, sir. Apparently it was philosophy time for the two men. Though ever at odds, in this setting alone there was no bad blood, no wall between the races. The two, simply as fellow men, looked up to the sky, together, and nodded with the same feeling in their hearts. Why must there be fighting, when the world is so beautiful? This is great. Hey, hold on there. What do you suppose you came here for? Upon the two walking the path of enlightenment, Steph's voice ran down like a clarion. What indeed? Why was it again? I'm afraid, master, that by my recollection it was to visit the city of Siren. Oh, that's right, Sora finally remembered. Indeed, as Jerboa said, they hadn't come just to swim. They'd come because Plum had indicated that a boat from Siren would arrive to pick them up. After all, the city of Siren, Oceans, was at the bottom of the sea. Jerboa, neither having visited nor able to see it, was unable to shift there. Thus, Plum was to be their guide. But, so where the hell is Plum? I'm here. Whoa. Sora jumped at the little voice coming from his feet. How long had she been there? Almost imperceptibly, two eyes peeked out of a crate by his feet. Is that you, Plum? The hell are you doing? This is the beach. Please don't be unreasonable. This is the most I can do, Plum answered, producing one of the patterns that arose when she used magic, and tears while she was at it. Master, direct sunlight is lethal to Dampier. Even with that box around her, she must blend light, or she will... At Jabril's words, Sora remembered the illness. So given that it was transmitted by sucking blood, that meant that Dampier herself couldn't get out in the sun. The greeting vessel from Ocean is to come at night, you know. Why are we here in the middle of the day? Indeed, the boat was supposed to pick them up at the sunset. Plum groaning, why did we have to come here when the daylight is like the flames of hell? But dude, it's the beach. You want me to skip past the swimsuit scene when we've got this crew? Are you nuts? Though even Sora would have excused himself if he didn't have Jabril's mysterious sunscreen. Hey, come to think of it, Jabril, why won't that sunscreen work on Plum? Unfortunately, Master, for Dampier's, it's being exposed to the sun itself that is lethal. At Jabril's unqualified ruling out of hope, Plum provided correction. No. If I weave a more powerful right, I'll be fine. But you know, it'll use a lot of power. Considering how tired she looked when she had first come to them, basically she was saying that walking straight through this blazing sun would wear her out to that point. You see, Siren's blood just isn't enough to do anything big, so... Whoosh! Plum peeked out of the box with a nice smile. If I could just lick the feet of Queen Shira one more time, I have no trouble with that right. Denied. You just squat there. At the swift stroke of that cleft, her proposal in twain, Plum let out only a moan as she plucked her crate closed again. Hey, for being rank 12, isn't Plum just too frickin' weak? This was something that he thought about. The vampires postulated in his own world, but still. Dampiers apply their power with the blood they intake, the strength of its soul, Jabril answered. If they ingest blood befitting the height of their natural aptitude for illusion of stealth, for instance, the blood of Elf, they become the vilest of assassins. In the Great War, they were, in fact, something of a threat. Ah, Sora thought, remembering the first night, allowing that she was off her guard, even Jabril had fallen prey to Plum's tricks for a time, but now look at them, right? Sora mumbled, squinting down at the crate at his feet. Seeing that she was still trembling, even inside the crate, was almost sufficient to bring tears to one's eyes. I've been thinking this for a while, but aren't Elf and Flugel a little too different in power for being just one rank apart? I mean, you're saying that Swerp can drink Elf's blood, but she's going to vaporize if she drinks yours, right? Sora indicated the crate at his feet as posed the question. Yes, for that is where separation line lies in the ranking, said Jabril. Separation line? Simply speaking, ranks up to 7 are living things, whereas higher ranks are living beings. Huh? You might understand it best by thinking of ranks up to 7 as those possessing physical bodies, produced by ordinary means and are generally defined as living things, whereas higher ranks are energies or concepts that have been acquired, will or In other words, living beings. Then it was simple. It was at the line at which common sense no longer applied. Sora understood. Or on this subject, what about one above you, Jabril? Gigant, was it? What's the power relationship look like with those guys? Well, you might ask. I should say a single standard gigant might be a feat to slay alone. But if we aim for certainty, I would desire 5 companions. What there are plans to slay one? No, there aren't. Stop sparkling your eyes. The dejected Jabril could destroy Elf, highest of the living things alone, with a single blow. But it would take a party of 6 like her to bring down one individual of rank 5. The races of rank 7 and below, you could say, did a pretty good job at surviving the Great War, especially humanity. I mean us, that is. Speaking of us, hey, Shiro, aren't you done changing yet? Suddenly remembered that she was taking quite the long time. Sora called in the trees behind him. In response to Sora's voice, Shiro poked her face out from the shade of a tree. Sora realized she seemed hesitant to come out for some reason. What's wrong, Shiro? You can't stand the sun after all? You don't have to if it's too tough, you know. Though he'd put on Jabril brand sunscreen, Sora himself was not fond of sunlight. On top of that, Sora knew Shiro hated sunlight even more than he did, and thus sympathized. But then Shiro shook her head from side to side, and finally, hesitantly, stepped out from the trees. Well, that is something. Dearie me, if you aren't the cutest little one. Shiro, you're damn pretty, please. As Ino, the Shrine Maiden, and Azuna each dropped their individual comments, Sora was simply frozen. Standing there was clearly the same sister he'd always seen. The same, and yet... Huh? As she tremendously left the shade of the tree, the girl was like a jewel. Her long hair, whiter than snow at normal times, had been combed out neatly and tied at the back. Illuminated by the sunlight, it was no longer like snow, but a petrifact, a diamond. From her white bikini and red hoodie, which seemed to symbolize her hair and ruby eyes, peeked her skin. Brother? Which, just like her cheeks, carried a faint vermilion flush. What? At the unnatural feeling of having been completely entranced by his sister, a questioning groan escaped Sora's lips. But at that groan, Shiro's face clouded with worry. I don't look good after all? As Shiro mumbled with her eyes lowered and receded back to the trees, Sora finally came back to his senses. In a panic to the extent that he himself wondered what he was getting so flustered about, he shook his head. No, that's not it. I was just amazed at an unbelievable beauty you are, Shiro. I mean, you know your brother already knew you were flawless beauty. I already knew, right? What? Shiro disregarded Sora as he tilted his head, wondering what had surprised him so much. At his side, Jabril and Steph, likewise entranced, beamed. Their expressions betrayed their hearts leaping in their chests. Shiro cast her gaze downward shyly, and almost invisibly smiled in relief. Oh, that's good. Indeed, my master is wise. It's a feat of which my eyes are unworthy. It's not like that. It's quite normal to react to cute things I say. Skin glistening, Jabril smoothly sighed, while Steph again clenched her head as if some kind of turmoil. Brother? Yeah, You look great. That's my darling sister. Yakking to Shiro, who walked up to him, Sora struggling to regain his composure, Shiro, her hair mussed by her brother, nodded once as if finally satisfied. That's right, Plum. When specifically is your welcoming party or whatever coming? Sora, feeling awkward somehow and then remembering his own original purpose, questioned the dampier. As Sora's words, everyone turned their eyes to the crate, to Plum. Her face emerging from the crate, Plum responded, Um, Around when the date changes, they'll arrive. That's quite a long time. Disbelievingly, Plum grumbled. That's why I said you didn't have to come this early. She only said this, perhaps unable to bear the sunlight, before retreating into her crate once more. Well, 'tis no real loss, is it? Then brushing off any inconvenience, the shrine maiden answered elegantly, at some point having rolled onto the grassy bed upon which Sora had been reclining. As she was fanned with giant leaves by her servant girls, why not think of it as a long-deserved holiday, and rest your bones as if you wait? What is life without a bit of leisure? Grinning and scratching his head, Sora exchanged glances with Shiro. Shiro nodded once. Now that I think about it, this is the first time Shiro and I have ever been to the beach. Then looking around at the eyes of Steph, Jabril, Izuna, and Ino, Sora smiled. Why don't we give this fun thing a try? Okay, I'm going to stop that for now. I'm going to hopefully upload this. I don't know when I'm going to do the next part. Hopefully I'll get that done tomorrow. I don't know if it'll upload the day after I'm posting this, the day of, or whenever. Like I said, I'm just doing this for fun. I hope they can continue this further. I like this. I mean, I know it's slower talking out loud and stuff, but I legitimately had fun with this. I know some of my voices were off. They probably will continue to be off. This is a complete cold read. I've never read this before. And yeah, so that getting out of the way, I hope you like this, and I hope you follow this further. And I suppose I'll see you guys next time.